Alright guys, take a look at how busy I am in a minute. Look at this. Newspaper, laptop. Anyway, it's time to review Father's Day. Father's Day. Well, it's the 8th episode of Series 1, of course, following on from the events of The Long Game. Rose wants to go back in time to see her dad because when she was very young, when she was a baby, her dad got killed in a car accident. He was going to this wedding and unfortunately he got knocked down by this car as he was crossing over the road. So she asked the doctor to go back in time to see her dad because she basically never knew her dad. So I'll read the plot details again. So we'll get Series 1 Volume 3 out again. And of course on this DVD we've got the Reapers on this, and the Reapers appear in the story. Father's Day. The Doctor and Rose return to 1987 and the scene of her father's tragic accident. But when she interferes in the course of events, the monstrous Reapers are unleashed upon the world and a wedding day turns into a massacre. Even the Doctor is powerless as the human race is devoured. So it's a very good plot there, and overall it's a very nice story. I'll just check who wrote the story again. The writer of this story was Paul Cornell. I must say that he did a pretty good job. It's a nice story, and it shows again that, you know, if a character interferes with history, fixed points of time and all that, then it gets all a little bit messy, and that's why you end up with the appearance of the Reapers in the story. I must say the Reapers are a very good design. They look all monstrous and everything. I mean, if you just take a look, so you've got them here. Don't know if you'd be able to see them. I think they're a pretty good design. They look a little bit like bats, but I think they're a pretty good design. Hopefully you'll agree. So I think that's all good, and of course you actually learn from the last episode in The Long Game that wherever you are in time and space you cannot interfere with human history, and you see that with Adam Mitchell, and that's how he became a failed companion. And Rose interferes with history here because she saves her father from death. He was supposed to get killed. She saves him, changes everything, and then all the Reapers start appearing and killing people, which is quite tragic. When the episode starts off, I remember, for some reason, I remember watching it for the first time in 2005, 10 years ago, and I remember thinking, is this Doctor Who? I didn't actually realise it was Doctor Who, and I don't know why I thought that. I mean, you've got Jackie, who I recognise, and then you've got the little girl who's supposed to be Rose Tyler, because it starts off, Jackie's telling Rose about what happened to her father when she was a child, and then it cuts to the TARDIS. I think the pre-title sequence itself is very good. It just shows what everything's all about. So the Doctor takes her to her mother and father's marriage, and then, of course, she hears all these great things about her dad. Oh yeah, he did all these great things, da 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 da. After he gets saved, of course, they go to this wedding, and Jackie and her father, Pete, are falling out all the time. So, what her mother told her after he died is a completely different story to how he actually was if he lived. And the marriage was breaking down in a sort of way. So I thought it was quite funny, but at the same time, it's quite sad because it makes you think, well, would they have lasted in the marriage anyway? But of course, we all know they loved each other. It gets all sorted out at the end anyway. So I like how the interactions with all the characters, Billy Piper and Camille Kajuri, I think they all play very good roles in this episode, along with Sean Dingwall, who guest stars as Pete Tyler, Rose's father. I think it's a very good chemistry. You get the sense, yeah, she's his daughter, and so on. Then later on in the episode, obviously, as the events unfold, obviously Pete realises that the girl who saved him is Rose, and she's a time traveller. She's travelled back in time with the Doctor. The Doctor is all pissed off, obviously, because she's changed history and everything, and caused a space-time paradox. Well, it's implied that he might have left her behind in this episode, because he just goes back to the TARDIS after all these events unfold, and he goes back, he opens the doors, and the console inside's not there. So it's really, really strange, and it means that everything's so messed up, he can't even actually travel back in time. And my theory is, the reason he can't get back into the TARDIS after all these events occurred was because Rose made this space-time paradox happen. Then it would mean that Rose and the Doctor may not have necessarily existed. Well, they would have existed, but Rose wouldn't have gone back in time in the first place to save her father. I don't know if that's making any sense to you folks watching this, but the reason why she saves her father in the first place is because she wanted to get to know her father. So, because she saves her father, it would mean that a new timeline is created, and she wouldn't have had to go back in time to save her father in the first place. I don't know if that's making any sense. I could just be talking total nonsense. If I am, just comment below. But that's my theory as to why the TARDIS isn't working, and the TARDIS key and everything like that. And hence why you've got all these Reapers appearing and devouring the human race. And you see this car, and it keeps appearing and disappearing, and it's the same car that killed Pete Tyler. It's a very nice thing they've got going on in the story. I quite like the way how it was handled in the story. One thing I felt that Stephen Moffat failed with was in A Christmas Carol, when Kazran Sardik and the young Kazran Sardik touch each other. Now, in this story, when Rose Tyler, the Billy Piper version of Rose Tyler, touches the baby version of Rose Tyler that appears in 1987, then everything just gets worse, because she touches herself from another different time zone. It makes the Reapers even stronger, and as a result, the Doctor saves everyone in the church. All these people are getting killed, and they said, no, I'm not having this anymore. You have to get past me. So he gets killed. He's trying to fix the TARDIS. That goes all haywire because they go through this TARDIS key and then it just makes everything go all tits up. And then they devour the Doctor. So for a short time, the Doctor is gone. He gets killed. And again, I think Christopher Eccleston, absolutely groundbreaking in this episode. He's really, really angry. He's absolutely furious with Rose Tyler for what she's done. And to be honest, I would be as well, because, let's face it, she's a bit stupid sometimes, isn't she, Rose? So, he's gone, and then Pete realises that it is his destiny to die. He realises that Rose is his daughter, and he tells Jackie, and we get a really nice scene between him and Jackie before he gives his life. He runs to the car, he gets knocked down, everything is restored. It's just that the events that occurred leading up to the car crash are now different. And now Rose runs up to him and he dies in front of her, and then that is it. So the events in time and space have been changed, but at the end, Pete's fate had to be sealed as being run down by a car, except it's in a different place. So the paradox is gone. All the Reapers get destroyed after Pete is dead because it's a fixed point in time. And thus the Doctor reappears. And that's that. The Doctor and Rose walk away. They go back into the TARDIS. Everyone is shocked at what's happened. Jackie is obviously distraught. And then the episode ends with Jackie telling a young Rose Tyler about this girl who ran up to him after he got knocked down by a car. So, overall, what do I think of this story? Well, I think this is an absolutely underrated story. I really, really do. I think this story is another story that's been overlooked upon by Doctor Who fans. Like The Long Game, everyone seems to give that a bit of stick. It's a bad story. I've never seen why, but then again, that could just be my memory cheating. I've always seemed to like that story. I don't know why. And this one, I like even more. I think it's a really, really good story. One of the best stories out the revived era. It's been overshadowed by many other stories. So, if I was new to Doctor Who, if you're new to Doctor Who, then I would check this out. I think it's a very, very underrated story, and it's a very good story. I think all the cast do a great job. Overall, what would I give this? I'd give this a 9 out of 10, easily. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching my review of Father's Day. Stay tuned next time, as I shall be reviewing The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances. Take care, guys, and I shall see you next time. Live long and prosper. Oh, wrong franchise.